Are you tired of hearing the word community? Do you feel like it's a buzzword that's just getting thrown around flavorlessly into the void and has no meaning? I know that's how I felt and have been feeling for quite some time right now. And it made me question, then what is it exactly? And is there better words for community than the ways that we have diluted it in most recent past? I'm coming on here pretty raw off of a conversation that I just had with someone that I'm in community with. I don't quote it in a sense that we're not in relations with each other. I'm just saying that I'm wanting to share a different perspective from my personal experience of what it means to be in community. So I grew up practically as an only child. I am the youngest by about 15 years of 5 older siblings. They both are from separate marriages from my parents, and I'm the only one from my 2 parents. By being the youngest and most of the time by myself, I was raised with my nieces and nephews, and they are the closest to siblings that I have, but they all eventually went back home with my older siblings. I then had my next door neighbors who then eventually, as much as I was close to them and they're like a second family to them, I'd spend the night like I literally was felt adopted sometimes, um, given that they were white and I was so obviously brown. Uh, I mean, eventually I went back home. And so there's a lot of, and like being and still a curious, talkative kid, like it wasn't difficult making acquaintances. And but to be in friendship with someone, that's a whole different thing. And I think it's those moments of doing life with other beings, like from waking up to going to sleep, to know what each other's shit smells like inside and out, and to see the tantrums, to hear the arguments, to see the messy parts of what it means to be co-living with someone, cohabitating with someone, to be living under the same roof as close to 24/7 as possible. And then, of course, when we all go to work and school, like you see all the stuff come up that we're processing that we've just ingested from the day. And that wasn't my experience. And just as I was talking to you all about the last video about that level of presence, like, and people being present in my life, like all I have such a great journaling practice because that was the way that I process my life. I'm able to show up on YouTube because this is the way that I process my life. And to be mirrored back to me what I feel like I'm experiencing in that moment, as opposed to having a sibling that was in the household or a parent that was interested in what was going on or friendships that felt like family. And for a big part of my life, I was okay with that narrative. I was okay with, not that I was okay with it, but it's like I didn't know how to, I had not practiced the relational skills when it got messy, when it got difficult, when it got challenging, when we disagreed. And even more so to even stay in it long enough to even get to that point. I do think, there is a neurodivergent experience in this, in terms of how we navigate through friendships. But nonetheless, what I'm trying to say is that I think, and I don't think anymore, I think we are finally coming to the realization that being in community and just plastering it on your vision and mission statement or plastering it on your walls wherever you're at, like that's not enough. And it's to the point where it almost doesn't mean anything. It's like, show me. show me how you're in community. And so I'm bringing this up because my partner, who was very much, when I met them 2 years ago, was very much all about community. And even though it was covered in a different language, um, in a word in Tagalog, that was still the crux of how they moved through the world and in those spaces. And to the point where, like, given that in our background, our families are from the East. So in the East, they're very big on like the collective. And in the West, very much big on the individual. And so obviously coming from the diaspora, the Filipino diaspora, it's like merging those two and understanding how to move through the world with those experiences is a different kind of challenge. And, you know, as I've been working on my own practice of being in friendships with others, I have realized for myself that I only have a certain capacity for so many people to go that deeply with. Like I am not concerned about the numbers of surrounded community I have around me. Like for me, it's about that presence, like feeling that presence um in my life and being in theirs, and to be there for the messy parts, which is really challenging sometimes because it's one thing to solve your own challenges, it's another thing to help someone. I mean, you're not there to solve them, that's probably what they're not asking for, but to just be there for those parts too, and to be in practice on how to show up for people in the ways that they would like. And so since I've moved to Montreal, my partner has come to a part of their path where uh, they're dying to their old self, an ego death, a dark night of the soul, whatever you want to call it. But let's just say that community that they invested so much in, I don't see them. So, uh, and it's without a doubt that they are going through one of the most challenging times in their lives. And I'm just like, why am I the only one here? Why am I the only one holding this when I'm the one who's still learning how to hold all of these complexities, um, with one person? Like, where are the people that you've invested the past 10 years in, like, that you have really stuck your neck out for in more ways than one? Like, where are they? And I mean, and anything I tell y'all, I am willing to tell them, and which I have. And so the other day, in the midst of their process, they were kind of coming at me. They're like, where's your community? Where's your people? Like, why are you by yourself? Why are you in isolation? X, Y, and Z. And I was like, well, first off, I left them all back home and I moved to Montreal to get married to you. Come on now. Like, and yeah, I'm also going through the experience of an immigrant who's speaking the non preferred language here and experiencing some level of discrimination because of that. And like also paperwork and not being able to like get a job and like be in a workplace. Like, there's so many factors as to why there's like difficulty in building friendships. And like, let's not even talk about just as a whole, there's a whole Western cultural conversation about how difficult it is to make adult friendships. So it's like there's a lot of, and then we talk about our devices and how we have created some disposability with relationships too. Like, there's a lot of factors at work here. So don't come for me. I was like, where are your friends that you have invested in for the past 5 to 10 years? And as you're going through the hardest transition in your life, have gone through the like very big moments in your life that really are the points where like friends should really be there, relationships should really be there. Where are they at? So it's like, but both what we're doing is not necessarily working. And and so then, after we, got to the roots of why they were coming for me, it's because they were missing them, they were missing their friends. And so it's like, okay, yeah, but like, you can miss your friends, but like don't come for me and the relationships that I'm working on. Because, after some time and some reflection, I told them, I was like, I am doing community. Like I'm currently at a point right now that the people that are closest to me in my life, we have gotten to a point where uh, we've come to a fork in the road, and now we're looking at the fork, and we're expressing ourselves and revealing more of our preferences and what we like and don't like, and what's coming up for us. How are we navigating through it? And we're allowing space between us so that maybe it'll just work out itself. Like I was like, this is me doing community. This is me doing the hard stuff. And like, more importantly, I'm doing it with you. Like, this is what it is. This is what it is for me. This is what I would like for it to be. It is not fun. It is not comfortable. It's not exciting. It's not energizing. Man, it is quite an experience. And to be going through it, one after another, I'm just like, this is what it is. Like, this is what it means, I think, even though, I don't have great examples, but I do think going through conflict and coming out on the other side is a part of the community experience. And I say this because my best friend right now, we came to a fork in the road. We're at a disagreement, and it reminds me of when we used to live with each other. And they wanted me to live with them because they wanted someone present, like in the home, right? They wanted presence, they wanted my presence, and they had space and room to give me a place to land while I was figuring things out, and just left my job and such. And I think that they thought it was going to be like all rainbows and butterflies. And I remember, and I recognize my presence is potent for the high vibrational stuff and the lower vibrational stuff. And you feel it to both extremes when you're around it. And so I'm going through, during this time I lived with them, I was going through, yeah, quite the shedding, of my worthiness and my enoughness, given the fact that I just quit my job, don't have another job to go to. And so now I have this pause in my life where I'm like, who am I? What value do I bring to the world? Um, yeah, am I worthy? Am I enough in any of this? And so, I'm having my own day, and they come to me and they're like, man, what's up, man? Like, I thought, we supposed to be in community and stuff, and this is supposed to be all this, that, and another. And like, I didn't think that, you was gonna be all, it's gonna feel like I'm walking on eggshells and da 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 and stuff. And like, and I just remember being like, what did you think? What did you expect? What did you think this was gonna be? Did you think we were just gonna like always be playing ball? Did you think we were just gonna be cooking meals here? Do you think we were just gonna be one big happy gay old family? Is that what you thought was gonna happen? Like, I don't know what you thought, but maybe we needed to have a conversation around what's actually going on and what our expectations around that. Because if you wanted happy, go lucky K short all the time, I was like, bro, I'm gonna let you know this right now. That is not the case. That is not the case, and that's not what's gonna happen. I was like, I mean, I didn't know what was gonna happen, but I know for a fact that even with the people I have lived with, like, it's not gonna be happy go lucky all the time. And that is, the blessing and the blessing of being with someone whose presence is so potent, where it's like, wherever they're at in that moment, like, you can't deny it. You don't gotta be a mind reader, I can tell you that much. um and so, yeah, I think I just wanted to bring this perspective around community, and that it is not an airy fairy, rosy eyed, colored experience, And I'm not here to speak from a place of expertise of community. I think it's personally changing. I think that we have came from our villages and our tribes, or whatever you want to call them, from our clans, our kinships, X, Y, and Z, whatever you want to call it. And you were bound by blood. You were bound by being in the same area at the same time, same place, whatever, right? And you wanted to belong. You wanted to survive. You didn't want to be isolated. X, Y, and Z. We have moved very far away from that now. And now we have a level of choice. We have a level of choice of who we get to be in relationship with. We get to experience this thing called chosen family. We get to um practice discernment. We get to swipe left. We get to cancel and cut off as much as we want. We get, like, we have a lot of choice. We have a lot of choices. And I'm not saying it's going to look one way. I'm saying it's going to look one way to someone else and different to another and different to another. And I just want to come on here and give ourselves grace for trying to figure it out in the new society that is and is unfolding. And and yeah, I don't think it's going to be based off of the numbers. I don't think it's going to be based off of quantity. I don't think it's going to be based off of last name. I don't think it's going to be based off of blood. I don't think it's going to be based off of same area, locale. I don't think it's going to be based off of coming from similar regions of the world. I don't think it's going to be based off of same workplace, same school. Like, I think we're at a point in society where it's really about a soul, a selection. If you know, you know. It's about a selection. It's about a soul selection. It's about a soul connection. And I say this because I just got off of a conversation with one of those people in my life. And I told them, I was like, when I met you, I didn't know what it was going to turn into. And can I be honest? I still don't know what it is. And to be even more honest, I don't think there's a word for it in English to describe what it is. And so I think I'd like to do some research as to what other words are out there, especially pre-colonial words that are out there that can describe the different kinds of connections that a human would experience in their lifetime. And yeah, and I think what's important about that is, again, having the choice and choices to say, like, it's not just a friendship, it's not just a romantic relationship, it's not just a lover, it's not just a cuddle buddy, it's not just friends with benefits, it's not just an acquaintance, or like these. To be honest, this connection I have was like, it's actually none of those words. I was like, there has to be something else. And so maybe I can share with you what I talked to ChatGPT about, which was a little weird because it was the first time I talked to ChatGPT, and the way that it was responding back to me by voice, I was like, "Ooh, you getting real close, girl. You getting real close." So some words that came up for this particular connection that I have with a friend, where I was like, it doesn't feel like we're any of those words. This doesn't feel like a work friendship. It doesn't feel like a relationship. It doesn't quite feel like a siblingship. It's definitely not a romantic relationship, but there's definitely a symbiotic connection. I was like, can you give me some words that are not in English that can be in Tagalog or pre-colonial places that have a vast range of words for different types of connections that a human can experience? And so then it brought up kapwa for Tagalog, which isn't exactly friend, but a shared self, a kind of we-ness. Kasama, which is someone who walks with you or works alongside you. And then Ubuntu from Southern Africa, which means I am because we are, and it's focused on mutual humanity. Aini is an Andean, from the Andean culture, meaning sacred reciprocity. And then it asked me, like, does it feel emotional or feeling like understood? And then yeah, I responded back. And the other new word that it brought up was like was nakama in Japanese, and it can mean companions bound by a shared journey. So if you're looking for a community, I think number one, it's important to define what community means to you. Like, what does it truly mean to you? Two, to then define what do those practices look like? What does it look like in practice to be in that kind of community? And then three, to then revisit the conversations that you're currently in relationship with to see if you're on the same page. I think that a lot of times we just settle for the relationships that are around us. And we sometimes forget that we have choice in them. And that, yeah, I think that relationships are worth revisiting. I think relationships at this point can be seen just as often as a monthly subscription that you would with anybody else. Like, are we still subscribed to this friendship, to this relationship, to this spousalship, to this soul connection? And yeah, just this the same thing. Does it feel like a mutual exchange? Is it an exchange that we've agreed upon? Uh, in terms of the terms and conditions. Like, it may sound ridiculous, but whatever we do create in the world is a reflection of the life that we're living. So I'm not surprised when things like this, where we are called users and this is called a device, which is kind of like a drug. You know what I mean? Like, it's a reflection of the human experience. And so, yeah, do what you will with that. Revisit your relationships, ask yourself what it means to be in community for you, define what that really is. What do those practices actually look like? Then revisit those relationships that you're in, and see if you're on the same page around that. And if you want to take it to the next step, be willing to let some of them go. I know that that's hard to digest for a lot of people, but it's a part of life itself. Like, people come in seasons, and chapters. And, if, and we're constantly dying to our old self. And that requires people to do the same. But I've noticed that some people hold on to what has always been, and to history, and to our last names, and to the time we've shared. But there's a level of holding on to a part of you that wants to die, because there's another part of you that wants to be rebirthed, um, and to rise from the ashes, if you will. And so, yeah, community. It's going to look different for everybody. But I say that have an honest conversation with yourself, have an honest conversation with those around you, and define it for yourself and what it means for you today, and put it into practice. So I hope this is helpful for you and your journey. Um, I feel grateful to have choice in this part of humanity's cycle. And yeah, I hope that you exercise your your choices. um, yeah, if this just resonates with you at all, or I'd love to hear about how you define community in the comments below. And what does that look like in practice? And if you feel a level of a soul connection here, even though it's parasocial, I would suggest subscribing. I don't see subscribers as someone's who are just viewers, and it's always going to be this one monologue situation. Like, I truly would like for subscribers to be to give ourselves a chance to connect, and to see if there's a symbiotic connection there, and to accept if there isn't either. Like, however you experience me through camera, like, I cannot not be that in person, and you're like, actually, I don't vibe with you in person. And that's okay. Like, I don't take that personal. I try to come on here as honest and transparent with y'all as possible, but there's still some habits in there of how I show up, with a camera on. Um, but I mean, given this video and the last video, I would say I'm showing up pretty raw. I'm pretty like, whew, like, just the energy levels, and but still showing up nonetheless. And I think that is a part of being in relationships with others, right? Like, you may not always show up on your A game and show up as your best, but I'm showing up as my best in this moment, enough to press record. So if that's cool with you, go ahead and subscribe, and please message me on Instagram at IamKShort to be like, hey, I heard that you really wanted to connect. I've watched a couple of your videos. I feel like there might be. Let's have a virtual coffee chat. I would love that. I would love to have a virtual coffee chat, and we can do that. And speaking of coffee, it's almost 6 o'clock now. Okay, I probably shouldn't get coffee, but I should definitely get some rest. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching, and stay rascal. Be well.